Welcome back! My name is Baller Scuba. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1983, and we are still in Enchanter. When we last left off, we talked about the game's background and went through the physical items that come with the game. It's time to actually play the game itself. This is a much more story-centered game than others that we have played, so there's going to be a lot of reading and not necessarily as much movement as we are used to. There's a lot of things going on in this game, but it is time to get into the game, so let's read how it introduces itself here. It must be the warlock Krill. The odd disappearances, the mysterious dissolution of regions sacred to the circle, the lessening of the powers. These could only be his handiwork. The circle gathers, and its leader, the esteemed Belboz, reveals to them an ancient document which portends evil days much like our own. Krill's evil must be unmade, he begins. But to send a powerful enchanter is ill-omened. It would be ruinous to reveal oversoon our full powers. A ripple of concern spreads over the face of each enchanter. Belboz pauses and collects his resolve. Have hope. This has been written by a hand far wiser than mine. He recites a short spell and you appear. Belboz approaches, transfixing you with his gaze, and hands you the document. The other enchanters await his decree. These words, written ages ago, can have only one meaning. You, a novice enchanter with but a few simple spells in your book, must seek out Krill, explore the castle he has overthrown, and learn his secrets. Only then may his vast evil be lessened or, with good fortune, destroyed. The circle rises and intones a richly woven spell, whose many textures imbue the small darkened chamber with warmth and hope. There is a surge of power. You are sent. And here we get the copyright screen. Infocom, copyright 83, 84, and 86. This is release number 29. Unfortunately, I didn't have the information on the different releases, but this should be the most recent one. Release 29 seems good enough to me. All right, let's start at the fork. You stand at a point of decision on a road which makes a wide fork to the northeast and southeast, circling the base of the Lonely Mountain, which looms high overhead to the east. A very long and winding road starts here and stretches out of sight to the west through low, smoky hills. The sun is rising over the lands to the east. All right, so we're at the fork. 0 scores, 0 moves. This looks very familiar to me now. Lonely Mountain also sounds very familiar to me, but I don't think that is supposed to be a Hobbit reference, really. But it could be. We'll have to see if we can't get closer to it. They wouldn't tell me about a Lonely Mountain unless I get to it, right? Right. All right, let's go northeast to start. Northeast, there we go. Apparently you don't know all the words. You were supposed to be advanced. All right, so now we are outside of the shack. You are south of an old wooden shack, apparently deserted. The trail extends from northeast to southwest here, circling the Lonely Mountain, which lies to the southeast. The sun is rising over the lands to the east. All right, we'll turn on verbose. I'm not sure if that's automatically on. It usually is not, so we'll make it maximum verbosity. That's pretty much our standard for Infocom games. We have played a few of them by this point. All right, let's enter the shack. Inside the shack. The inside of the shack is a shambles. An overturned table and bench and a few broken windows remain. An oven is the only fixture that's even recognizable. The door is to the south. The sun is rising over the lands to the east. The top of a battered lantern is partially visible behind the overturned table. An empty jug lies in a corner of the room against the overturned table. We're going to need to take that jug. We need to open the oven. And then we are going to opening the oven reveals a loaf of bread. We're going to take the bread. Taken. A rat skitters across the floor, sees you, is startled, and rushes back the way it came. You get out of here. You're not helping us any. Okay, let's go south to exit now that we have the jug and the bread. The lantern, for, whatever reason, is useless in this game. Yeah, you would think, being a sequel essentially to Zork, that the lantern would be super important. It is not. Let's head south to the outside of the shack. You are south of an old wooden shack, apparently deserted. The trail extends from northeast to southwest here, circling the Lonely Mountain, which lies to the southeast. So far, it hasn't been as story-driven as I remember, but maybe that'll change. Maybe I'm wrong. That's always a possibility. Let's go northeast to the trail. The trail turns a corner here, bending out of sight to the southeast and southwest. The ground is higher here than to the south, allowing you to make out the top of the Lonely Mountain, shrouded in clouds. No path from here leads up the mountain, however. We'll go southeast from here to the trailhead. You are on the northeast side of the Lonely Mountain, walking a narrow path through rolling hills. On one side of the path is a sign, and behind that, to the northeast, a winding path through the thick undergrowth. The trail continues to the southeast. Well, let's go northeast from here. And here we can find a shady brook. The trail ends here. A ruined stone foundation marks the site of the old Lingolf house, which presumably was a monument of some sort. The trailhead is off to the southwest, and a small brook flows slowly by. We are going to fill our jug with water from the brook. All right, the jug is now full of water. The sun has now risen above the hills. Yeah, we have kind of a day-night cycle here going. But we do have water and we do have food now. Remember, in Planetfall, that was necessary. In this game, it is also going to be necessary. But if you remember from the physical items that came with this, especially one of the pamphlet, I believe, there will be a spell that we can use to get around that, but we don't have it. All right, so from here we will go southwest, back to the trailhead, southeast to the eastern fork. You are at a fork in which the road where paths to the northwest and southwest girdle the base of the Lonely Mountain, and a smaller path winds its way to the east. We're going to go southwest from here to the village outskirts. You are on a road which enters a small village to the southwest and comes to a fork to the northeast. The Lonely Mountain looms above, but there is no path from here which ascends the mountain. Southwest again, and that takes us into the village. This is the castle's village. Formerly, peasants lived here, going to their farm plots each day. Merchants and artisans made it a center of cultural activity, but now it's deserted, or almost. There is smoke rising from a particularly decrepit hovel to the south. A path travels through the village from southwest to northeast, heading towards the castle, and a less used trail heads north up the mountain. Well, can I tell people that I am the king under the mountain? Will that help me any here? We can go south from here. Uh-oh, there's a lot going on here. It is dark and smoky in here, but this is a place of great disorder, and its odor is indescribable. A pile of rags sits near a small pot, which is bubbling and steaming over a tiny fire. The pile of rags sports a gnarled hand, which busies itself with the noisome stew. A closer look reveals a withered crone at the other end of the hand. The creature looks you over keenly and speaks. "I should have thought they would send someone more. She laughs in an unsettling way. "They've all left. A great storm is brewing in the east, my friend, and all have fled before it." She starts to chuckle. "Take this and be gone." With a wave of her hand, you find yourself reeling out of the door of the hovel, holding some sort of scroll in your hand. We're going to go ahead and read that scroll. The scroll reads, Resrov spell. Open even locked or enchanted objects. So now what we want to do is we want to put that in our spell book. And if you didn't have the physical items that come with the game, that's going to be very difficult for you to figure out how to do. But the spell that we learned in those physical items would be Nusto. So we want to Nusto Resrov. And that's going to do what we want it to do. Your spell book begins to glow softly, slowly, ornately. The words of the Resrov spell are inscribed, glowing even more brightly than the book itself. The book's brightness fades, but the spell remains. However, the scroll on which it was written vanishes as the last word is copied. So we don't have the scroll anymore, but we do have it in our spell book. And if you remember, that is much more powerful for us. And we can use it multiple times when it's in the spell book. There was a lot of good information in what we read last video. All right, let's go northeast from here to the village outskirts, northeast again to the eastern fork. Then we want to go east from here to the western road. You are on an east-west road, which wends its way through the dark. Wends its way through the dark? That's what it says. Rolling hills... which wends its way through the dark rolling hills of this land. To the west rises a high mountain. To the east stands a high castle with dark towers. We can go east one more time, and that will take us outside the gate. You're outside the western entrance to the castle. To the east stands an iron gate, which is closed and chained. A winding road starts here and proceeds to the west. I don't remember a castle near the Lonely Mountain, but that's just me. Okay, we need to use our new spell. We got Resrov. We're going to need to do that. We have to memorize it first, if you remember what they were telling us. So the way to do that is learn Resrov. Using your best study habits, you learn the Resrov spell. Now we can Resrov the gate. The chains of the iron gate fly into the air and vanish. The gate flies open and a blast of cold air fills your lungs. You have 20 points. Things are going well for us. So a lot of what we're trying to do here is get access to spells. And so we have one. We have Resrov. Let's get another one. Let's see. Do I have that memorized already? Probably not. What I need to do is cast Fraught on the spell book. Fraught, if you remember, was told to us. It protects your most precious possession, which for us right now is definitely the spell book. Can I just Fraught it like this? I can. There is an almost blinding flash of light as the spellbook begins to glow. It slowly fades to a less painful level, but the spellbook is now quite usable as a light source. So much for the lantern, right? So Fraught must be one of those ones that is easy enough for us to memorize. There's a lot going on in this game that if you weren't necessarily doing things the order that we have, you would not know. Let's go north. Let's go in first. There we go. As you pass through the gate, you feel that your mind is being probed. Hooray. After a moment, it is released or perhaps discarded as uninteresting. Probably the latter. Inside the gate, you are just inside what appears to be the main entrance to the castle. An iron gate standing wide open looms to the west. Through it, a narrow road can be seen winding through low, smoky hills. Before you, to the east, is a huge open courtyard. To the north and the south are archways leading to the interior of the castle. All right, let's go north from here. Was Fraught? No, I think Fraught was the light spell, not the protect spell. I think I got those mixed up. I don't have the stuff in front of me like I should. But we have made it to the pebbled path. You're on a long pebbled path stretching out to the north. To the south, the path continues through an open arch into an open area. We want to go north again from here to the tower. This is the base of the northwest tower of the castle. A winding staircase leads up into the tower itself, and passages lead from here to the east and south. Let's go up from here to the jewel room. This fabulous room commands a magnificent view of the Lonely Mountain, which lies to the north and west. The room itself is filled with beautiful chests and cabinets, which once contained precious jewels and other objets d'art. For those of you that don't speak French, it says art objects. These are empty. Winding stone stairs lead down to the base of the tower. There is an ornamented egg here, both beautiful and complex. It is carefully crafted and bears further examination. Inspect egg. This ornamented egg is both beautiful and complex. The egg itself is mother of pearl, but decorated with delicate gold traceries inlaid with jewels and other precious metals. On the surface are a lapis handle, an emerald knob, a silver slide, a golden crank, and a diamond-studded button, carefully and unobtrusively embedded in the decorations. These various protuberances are likely to be connected with some machinery inside. The beautiful ornamented egg is closed. Using some big words here. I'm not used to reading those. All right, we need to take the egg. Taken. And then we need to relearn Reznov. This is why we had to write it in the book. We had to use it multiple times. Learn Reznov. All right, Reznov egg. The egg seems to come to life, and each piece slides effortlessly in the correct pattern. The egg opens, revealing a shredded scroll inside, nestled among a profusion of shredders, knives, and other sharp instruments, cunningly connected to the knobs, buttons, etc. on the outside. All right, take scroll. Take shredded scroll? Let's just try take scroll. All right. All right, we need to go down from here back to the base of the tower. We got kind of what we needed, but, you know, it's not going to work for us. If only there was some way for us to repair the scroll. East to the Hall of Mirrors 1. This is the western end of the Hall of Mirrors. The hall itself is astounding and not a little bit confusing. To be sure, its northern wall is glass, but it does not seem to reflect anything within the hall. Rather, it seems to be a window on another world. This other world appears to be a large underground labyrinth filled with tunnels, caves, and peculiar rock formations. Does that lead us back to Zork? Halls of Mirrors 2. This is a spot within the long Hall of Mirrors. The hall itself is astounding and not a little bit confusing. To be sure, its northern wall is glass, but it does not seem to reflect anything within the hall. Rather, it seems to be a window on another world. This other world appears to be a large underground labyrinth filled with tunnels, caves, and peculiar rock formations. Let's go again. Do you say anything else? It says the exact same thing in Hall of Mirrors 3. Let's go east again to Hall of Mirrors 4. This is something new. We'll start where it starts getting new. After peculiar rock formations, from the other side of the mirror, a bedraggled adventurer comes into view, carrying a brass lantern and an elvish sword, which is glowing dimly. He stops and stares in your direction. I don't remember doing that in the old game, but sure, we'll go with that. Maybe somebody else is playing. We'll go east one more time, to the North Gate. This small open area stands at the old north gate of the castle, now badly rusted. Through the gate, a forest can be seen. To the west, a hall glows with light, and to the south, dark castle can be re-entered. A narrow passage to the east leads to the base of the northeast tower. Okay, so we need to learn Reznov again. You would think at some point I would just remember it, but I forget it every time I cast it. Your mouth is getting rather dry. Not yet. We are going to wait. All right, so we're going to Reznov Gate. The rusted north gate magically creaks open far enough for you to leave. Let's go north then. We are in the forest. You are in a dark forest just north of a rusted gate. Except to the east and south, the forest is thick all around you. Discarded beneath a nearby tree is a slightly crumpled scroll. Let's go ahead and take the scroll and read crumpled scroll. Can I do that? The scroll reads, Krebith spell, repair willful damage. Right. We only need the Krebith spell once, so I'm not going to bother putting it into the spell book. We're just going to use it from this. Krebith Shredded Scroll. As you cast the spell, the slightly crumpled scroll vanishes. The scroll reforms, its slices and cuts rejoining, until there is a whole scroll, somewhat faded in its place. Okay. Read Faded Scroll. The scroll reads, Zifmia spell, magically summon a bee. Well, we got one. All right. I think we can get one more spell. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so let's head south from here. We got the Zifmia spell. That sounds good, though. Back to the North Gate. South again to the library. This is a library, or rather it was until it was ransacked and despoiled. Most of the contents of the room have been burned in a huge bonfire in the center of the room. Hundreds of charred and empty tubes are scattered about, as if by someone searching, so ashes are strewn about. There are rat tracks in the ashes. To the south, you can hear the sound of a group of low, guttural voices. Amid the tubes is an old and dusty book. Well, we want to first examine the rat tracks. There are plenty of rat tracks here going in various directions. One prominent rodentine thoroughfare stands out, though, going as it does into a small hole in the wall. Ah, there's a small hole in the wall. Reach into hole. You reach around for a moment and come up with something. It's a frayed scroll. You're becoming quite thirsty. If you hear that there's if you see, I should say, people come into the library, go north, and then come back south, and they should be gone. Okay. Let's go north. Let's get out of here because this is a relatively dangerous area. Back to the North Gate. And then we can read a frayed scroll. The scroll reads Gondar spell, quench an open flame. All right, we need to Nusto Gondar. Right, pretty much the same as last time. Let's try to go one more. These scrolls are actually coming to us pretty quickly. So I think that things are, pretty much going well for us. Once again, Nusto, one of those things that we have already memorized. Let's go west through the Hall of Mirrors. See if another person shows up. Nope. One more time to the Northwest Tower. Then we want to go south. You are very thirsty now. You'd better have a drink soon. All right, drink jug. You can't drink from jug. The delicious spring water tasted great, and there's lots more where that came from. There we go. Once again, I'm not giving the parser enough credit here. So we have gone south twice. We need to go south 2 more times. To the West Hall, this narrow promenade stretches into darkness to the south and through an archway toward an open area to the north. Then we can go south one more time to the tower. This dark and damp spot is at the base of the southwest tower of the castle. 2 corridors lead off to the north and east. A winding staircase ascends into the tower. Let's go up from here into the bedroom. The Eyrie is a round bedroom high in the tower. Narrow windows overlook the outside. A stone stairway leads down. There is a 4-poster feather bed here. All right, we will examine the bedpost. A careful examination reveals a thin line which might well be the outline of a small compartment, but the mechanism for opening it is not discernible. Your stomach is starting to grumble. We're going to wait a little bit longer, not enough yet. Okay. Let's learn Resrov again. And then we're going to Resrov the bedpost. It has to be the bedpost. You can't say compartment. The bedpost pops open, revealing a small compartment and nestled inside a gold leaf scroll. We're going to take that scroll, and then we are going to read the gold leaf scroll. I have to be specific here. I have two of them. The scroll reads Vaxum spell. Make a hostile creature your friend. That sounds very important. So we're going to go ahead and new-stow that. There it goes. Then we can go down. And this time we're going to go east. To the South Hall. The damp corridor continues east and west from here. A dark and forbidding stairway leads down to the south. In addition, a narrow passage leads to the north. We're going to do something crazy, and I understand, but there is a point. We're going to drop our spell book. It is our light source, and we kind of need it to be dark. Then we're going to go... I'm trying to be careful because I don't like dropping my spell book. Let's go east to the gallery. The east-west corridor opens into a portrait gallery. The gallery is lit by an eerie orange glow. We wouldn't have seen that if we had the book with us. The eyes of the figures portrayed on the canvases seem to be faintly illuminated and follow your every movement. After a moment, the source of light becomes clear. A single lighted portrait flickers as if a flame were burning behind it. All right, we want to remove lighted portrait. The portrait is quite light. You remove it from the wall and place it on the ground, revealing a small niche in the wall, in which sits a black candle and a black scroll. You're becoming quite hungry. Is that the point where I start needing to eat again? No, I can go further. I can always go further, I think. Okay, so let's see here. Every time I have to check on that, I lose track, so I have to go back. All right, we need to take the black scroll. Read the black scroll. The scroll reads, Osmu spell. Survive unnatural death. We're going to go west, and we're going to take our spell book. Okay. So we're a little bit less than halfway through the game, I think, at this point. But I think this is a good stopping point for us. We'll have to pick up from here next time. That is going to do it for this part of Enchanter. My name is Baller Scuba. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video when we continue taking on Enchanter. I hope you laughed. I hope you learned. I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.